morning, almost afternoon, everyone. I had to take a quick call real quick. I'm still on, I guess you could say, work duty. So uh, sorry about that. Hopefully, I won't get another call and put this on vibrate now so they won't interrupt. That's just the woes of being a tech director. You still kind of on duty even on Fridays. But thank you everybody for joining. I would like to thank MGMWERX for allowing me to do this workshop. I want to thank everybody who attended this morning's workshop that we spoke on applied digital skills. And so for this particular workshop, we're going to talk about another Google resource that you could use in your classroom as it relates to being more engaging and innovative in the classroom. Now, this one deals with, I think sometimes this word may be taboo in the educated world, but we're going to talk a little bit about computer science. And so, with that being said, I am going to share my screen. I've already sent out the link to this presentation. This is for you. You guys could take this information with you and use it at will. Hopefully that this will be beneficial for you all. And so as I am sharing my screen, just to get a feel for who's here, since I think it's going to have a smaller group today, if you all could just briefly just shout out who you are and what you're currently doing as far as education and how things been going with you with in the school year with remote learning and what do you expect for the upcoming school year?
Well, I'm Andrea McClendon. I teach at Troy Elementary School, first grade. I'm excited just to kind of learn more, to not feel like such a tiny baby T in the world. And as far as what to expect with this upcoming school year, that is a really good question. I think the big things everyone's kind of waiting on Superintendent Mackey on the 19th to kind of do what his expectation is.
Most definitely. Thank you. And I think Andrea has been following me quite some time now. I think I've seen her face this entire week. But I thank you for joining us, Andrea. She's also a part of Troy City Schools in Troy, Alabama, and hopefully she's getting some great information. Anyone else in the group that just want to just say hello to everybody?
Okay, I'll go. Kevin Simpson. Sorry I missed the first session. I hope it was recorded. For next year, I'm going to be STEM startup coordinator at a school. This year,
Awesome.
I'm back in the classroom. I did STEM before, so I'm excited to get back into that space. Based in Dallas, Texas. And we have no idea for next year. So it's still in the works.
Awesome. Well, great to have you. You said Dallas, Texas. Okay. Go Cow. Is it okay to say that? Go Cowboys.
Well, I'm from Michigan, so.
Joyce, can you take him off the the list?
We'll let him stay.
Okay, we'll let you stay. Anybody else? I see some in the chat. Good morning, everybody. And yes, you're right. We're unknown for what's going to happen next year. And the best thing that we could do that I would say is just prepare for the unknown. And so as a district technology director, I've said this in this morning session, I said this in my previous session, that in my opinion, this is my opinion, the best thing I think that you can do as an administrator or as an educator is just to get ready for what would it look like if I'm teaching my students in this same environment right here. And so what the session was for this morning with applied digital skills, and for this particular session, Google CS first, the only thing that I'm trying to do right now is just show you different resources that you could possibly use in your classroom to build up that engagement and that collaboration in your classroom. We mentioned digital skills this morning, and the reason why I want to say that again is because that is basically what the basis is of all of this as relates to education technology. We are trying to figure out what digital skills we have, understanding of that rather, and where we are trying to do as relates to helping ourselves out and our students. Okay, I see we have somebody from from the Panhandle in here. Okay. Great to have you here. So we have a few STEM teachers in here. We have elementary teachers in here. I'm assuming we have middle, high school, just hoping that we have everybody. And then next, somebody's going to mention probably higher ed. So I think we're all, there we go. We have a middle school person here. So great. So we could speak on this particular topic today. And so before I dive in with the actual Google CS first, let's just talk about computer science and where we are in the educational realm with computer science. And so a question that I have for the group is, and this may not be the question for the tech coaches in here per se, but you could still speak up. But when were you first introduced to the concept of, can you bring computer science, coding, or whatever the case may be, into your classroom? Was it this year, last year, year before? You already was trying to do different things? Just want to just get an idea of when computer science was brought to life into your neck of the woods, so to speak.
Well, I'll be honest. Hopefully no one will get angry with me for saying this, but I really never even thought about it until you became our tech person.
Okay.
So, you know, and I tell everybody how knowledgeable I feel you are. It's just, you have really, I think, opened a door for our school. So.
Great, and thank you for saying that. Yeah, so and hopefully this would be beneficial to you in this particular session, Andrea, that we will speak on computer science and coding and how we could use these tools in the classroom now. Anybody else? I see 3 years ago, Ms. Strickland. And so you've done the hour of code. Anybody else done the hour of code with code.org? Pretty familiar with that? And that's basically what this program kind of stems into as well. And so 8 years. Okay. So so you really was on in the STEM world. And so just throwing all these words out there, STEM and coding, computer science. And in my honest opinion, I believe that every educator should basically have an idea or a concept of what computer science is. No matter if you are an elementary teacher, middle school, that in my opinion, I just believe that computer science, it basically helps you understand how you could become more creative in the classroom. And then I think it really helps the student focus on those critical thinking skills. Because of course, and if you all ever tried coding before, you notice that there are a lot of things that you have to do to make one particular project work. So you're trying to create this code. You're trying to put things together, whether or not you're typing the code in or you're using the blocks. And then all of a sudden, that one particular sheet of code that you're doing, it produces something that's magnificent. It produces probably a kid walking on your screen, produces a ball bouncing up and down. And that's just basically where we are with this as relates to computer science. And there are more things that we can look at. There are more things in detail. Excuse me as you see me going back and forth as far as the clicking on my screen, because there's so many things that's on my screen right now, and being using a laptop, it's kind of hard to see everything at one time. But I'm going to try to make do. But basically, this particular slide right here that I'm on right now, if you can see, this really kind of explains what computer science is and what it isn't. And so, of course, when you say computer science and coding in your classroom, how many of your students first say they think about playing video games? And we do understand that that's part of it, but it's hard to try to explain to them. It's a little more than just playing video games. And I reference that because in our school system, I do help run the coding program that we have at our middle school for girls who code. And I'm actually going to share some of those resources with you and how we're using it. But the first thing that the girls brought up in the group was, what video games are we going to play in the classroom? And so it was a challenge trying to slowly adopt them into this mindset of understanding of, we're trying to look at the different skills that you have, problem solving. So I think they saw a lot of math. in these concepts. We talked about sentence structure. So we tried to bring in the English, and of course, being able to read the different codes. And so it was interesting toward the end of our Girls Who Code program, how they were able to take all those components and somehow understand that, yes, in computer science, you still see the digital skills that you need in the classroom. And you also see somewhere down the line your subject and content matter. So you do see math in computer science, you do see science, you do see reading and English. And so that's what we're here for as well. And I know that we do have some outside of the state of Alabama, but you also are focusing on standards that you are doing in your classroom, hopefully. And so with us, we have to abide by the DLCS standards, or the digital literacy computer science standards. And so a program like this helps us with that. And so as a teacher, and I'm speaking on the brand new teachers who are here who have no idea about coding or computer science, you need a program that is a program that can help you grow into computer science as well as your students, if that makes sense. There are all sorts of programs out there, and I'm sure the STEM teachers in here can list off thousands of them right now. But this is more so based on that starter. Hey, I'm not really into computer science just yet. I want to learn. I want to explore more. So please just bear with me. And that's the teacher that we're looking for today with computer science. So before I dive into the actual computer Google CS first, anyone else want to mention any other ideas about just computer science in general? I know we have some STEM people in here, and like we mentioned, you can unmute your mics if you want to and just speak on just your experience with computer science. I think we have some code.org people in here, and if you just want to, anybody want to speak up really quick. And I'm going to check the chat. So great. So we're okay. So we all are somewhat on the same page. We're just looking to explore. We're looking for something new or something to add on. That's what I told the group this morning, that everything that I'll show you today, please just use it as this is just an add-on. He's not trying to show us something different. He's not trying to give us something to replace what we're already doing. This is just looked as another add-on. And so the program that I'm speaking of course, is the Google CS First. Has anybody ever used the CS First in this workshop? So we got a lot of no's. Man, I'm still jealous of your background, but I would be okay. I'm gonna learn how to get a background going one day on my on my device. So with so with Google CS First, this program is primarily meant for, of course, our lower grade levels, from the elementary to middle school. And I think that's why we had a lot of people from our morning workshop who wanting to see more elementary to middle school type tools. This is what this is meant for. It's a free program. And basically, they want you to explore different coding and computer science concepts using the program Scratch. So if you're looking at the screen right now, and if you're looking at this particular picture, if you're familiar with Scratch, Google CS First use a lot of the Scratch program. Has anybody seen Scratch by the MIT professors? Great. So we have one. And so basically, if you could take the Scratch philosophy or the Scratch program that you are accustomed to using, tie it into Google, this becomes Google CS First. And that's where we are with Google CS First. And so it takes the organization of registering your kids together, getting your students in one, I guess you could say domain, or getting them in one classroom and being able to deliver to them specific content from the Scratch program. So instead of having to do the research yourself, Scratch is a very good coding program, but you do have to go in and find different lessons. You have to find different content matter. The Google CS First program already has that available for you. And so really quick, we're going to go ahead from your side, if you would like to, and go ahead and jump in the computer science. Like I said, bear with me. I have quite a few kits up here, quite a few tabs. And I'm going to put this link in the chat section so you have access to it. All right, that link should take you to the Google CS First. And while you all are going to the CS First, you can see it on my screen. I have it pulled up. I am going to let's move this out the way for a second. There we go. All right, so now on the screen right now, you should see me actually logged into the Google CS First program. Before you log in, hopefully you could, let's see if we could see the same. I'm going to sign out. I just want you to navigate the program itself. I always recommend that before you explore anything by registering, you always want to just kind of sign in, and you kind of want to navigate it first. And so, of course, it explains what it is, a free computer science curriculum that makes coding easy to teach and fun to learn. What I would like to preface is before I got involved with doing workshops on Google CS First, it was a package that you had to do. And the good thing is they still have those packets. And so if it's in the back of your mind, if you are a teacher who is still, you don't have a lot of technology, or you still want to have that paper concept, they still have this available to you in this program. But I remember when we first were looking at computer CS, Google CS First, at our school system, once you register as a school system, they delivered the package to you. And what I mentioned about the packets is that it was a set of 30. And in each packet, you decided what project you wanted to send to your students. And this is all free. And this is why I love this program too. So it's all free. They send you free packets, and you send the package, you give them, you deliver them to your students. And then within the package, that's how they work the program. And so within the packet, either they had a program that was meant for online, or you could do some of the coding techniques on paper. And I think that at a time like this, that's important to know, because sometimes students may not have access to technology, but you still want to deliver your content. You still want to try to be as engaging as possible. What we're looking at right now is the evolution of this Google CS First program. So this is more online based. And so and this is why I think they partner with Scratch to do this particular curriculum now. But just for those teachers who are thinking, well, if I don't have enough technology, can I still do this program? Yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can. And so as I am looking through, we just want to click on curriculum just to give you an idea of what you're seeing right now. You can look at it on the screen with me, or if you just go ahead and click on it on your own screen, just so you can navigate yourself. If I'm speaking too fast, tell me to slow down, please. And I will definitely slow down. If I'm moving too slow, if you want to go ahead, that's okay with me as well. Okay, so when I click on curriculum, of course, we're looking at the different hands-on activities. Similar to the Applied Digital Skills workshop that we had this morning, this is all based on videos. And I think that the way we are going into today's time with education and teaching, that some students do learn best when they receive more so of a video of explaining to them how to do lessons and work versus just written assignments. We still have those who need the written assignment to be able to read it, but I just think that sometimes videos where I can pause and play and do the video at my own leisure, I think that that's more significant. And so Google CS First offers that same type of curriculum for you. And so that's what we're looking at right now. There's all sorts of videos out there as it pertains to the coding lesson that you're going to do in the program. Okay, so what activities are we going to do? And so you have these small activities that Google CS1 recommends. And so you notice that they are subject specific. So whether or not you're doing an interactive presentation or characterization, and then you see the time frame that these particular lessons are meant for. And so, of course, with students of today's time, they recommend that we look at these hour or less type of programs. And I think that the person that mentioned the hour coding, Google CS1 also follows that concept of just code for 1 hour. And so as a teacher, you're thinking, what can I do that's engaging for my student for that 1 hour? And so just slowly scroll through. I'm going to scroll through as well, and you see some of the different lessons that you see right now that all meant for coding. Here's the hour of code. And you notice the more that I scroll down, the more time is given to a particular assignment. And so we have an hour to 2 hours, and I think we even have anywhere between 6 to 7 hours of coding or different types of projects. And of course, these projects right here, they would be recommended that you do in a group setting. I think we have some that mentioned they're in STEM labs. This would probably be more in your field, or how you would probably do a particular lesson, the 8 to 12 hours, get the group together or break them out in smaller groups, and then they work together on either storytelling, the different, doing the music and sounds. I think the fashion and design is a popular one. And then when we're finally done with the introduction and we're getting a feel for computer science, we're getting a feel for coding, then we can finally show our students the sports world and the gaming world, which I think this is where they want to be starting off from the jump. But we have to tell them we have to work small. Any questions so far? Any thoughts or anything before we dive on in? Just checking the chat for a second. I think we're good. Okay, so great. So the way I like to explain how these programs work is I always want you to come from the student side. So before I explain the resources and get into the different trainings as a teacher, let's look at it from the student side. And so how many do we have? How many active participants we have in here? I don't think I have enough. I may have created 5 classrooms. But what I am going to share with you right now, and I thought I had that pulled up, but really quick, I'm going to go ahead and log in myself as a I'm going to sign in as a teacher. I'm going to ask you all to sign in as a student. So how does this work? So when I click on sign in and you see this screen, are you a student or are you a teacher? For my case, I'm going to sign in as a teacher. What I ask for you all to do so we could help navigate this program is to sign in, click on sign in as a student. And once you sign in as a student, as a matter of fact, I'm going to back out so you can see exactly what I'm speaking of before I get you to join the lesson. And we're gonna actually work within this lesson together so you can get a feel for it. When I click on sign, I'm a student, you have 2 options. So if you are a returning student, you will already have your user account and password provided to you. So this is what you as a teacher, you can kind of preface this and already have this ready to prepare for your students, or you have your students navigate to the new student, and then you have to enter your class code. So if you are right here, you are perfect. I am going to send you a code. So I'm going to log back in as a teacher. So you just hang tight for a second. And here's the code that I would like for you to look at. I did have 5 users already created, But since we have enough, it's okay for you to just start from scratch and just create your own class. But I'm going to click on this summer class that we have available, and this code right here. If you could type this code in, I'm going to blow it up on the screen. If you could type this code in to where it says join, and then of course once you click on, if I could remember, join this class, it is going to automatically create a user account and passcode for you. And so just speaking as a teacher and as a student, they recommend that once this account is created, that you tell your students to jot down the username and passcode. The other thing that you're going to notice is the username and passcode that is created for your particular student. It has nothing to do with any type of student information. So it does not tie to your Google account. If you are a school student that uses Google or Microsoft or whatever the case may be, they just create a user account for your student and create a passcode. And if you notice, you cannot click on move forward until you click the checkbox, I have taken down my passcode and password. And now as you're doing that, as a teacher, you don't have to worry, because as the students are signing into your class, you do get a notification, or you do get access to knowing who is signing up for your class. Great, so we have a few signing up. So that's why you notice the CS and then the username. Now, as a teacher, you could decide to change that. If I'm not mistaken, you can switch those accounts the way you want to, and then you can change the passcode as you please. But if you're looking at my screen right now, as the teacher, I see who all are joining the class. Now, for those who have not created their account, well, I can just show you on the screen. If you have not created your account, I think I have at least these 3 down here that you could use if you wanted to.
I'm 0762, the top of the 3.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that the top numbers. Okay, so they just alphabetized them. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let's see if I can find. Somebody was about to steal access to your account. I can't find it right now, but I thought that I took down the name, jotted down the names of those. But this one right here with the passcode 26 Superstar, that is active, I know. And I want to say that 78 Super Strong passcode may be active as well. And so just giving you all some more time to kind of join the class. And right now what we're going to do is we're going to navigate this class as if we are a student. We're going to navigate these courses. And so a few things that this is doing right now as the student. So this is where you are right now. And like I mentioned, we're going to probably take probably 5 to 10 minutes of just going into the program and utilizing it. I know it's a little hard to do a workshop and show just 10 minutes of a lesson, but I wanted to show you more on the teacher side than the student side. And so I'm going to click back in my classes. And as a student, you should see the interactive presentation, code your hero, narration, create your own Google logo. And then, of course, I do have those longer hour type courses if you want to be more challenging and take the music and sound or the game design. So I hope that somebody looks at those classes as well and take. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click on the actual activity and begin to take the lesson. And so and as you are taking this lesson, please put yourself in the shoes of your students, your current students, your students before in the past, And as you are creating within this lesson, I just want you to think, how would this work for my classroom? And how can it benefit my classroom? And that's the conversation we're going to have once we come back after this quick 5-10 minutes of just going within the program. And so I'm going to click on the activity myself and look at it, because I could start the activity as well. And so I decided to click on interactive presentation. It tells me this is an introductory coding. So once again, as a teacher who just want to get started, then you want to look more for these particular lessons as we're doing the computer science and coding. It has 2 activities in there, and it's only going to be for an hour. I mean, of course, we're not going to do an hour. Before I click on start, if I scroll down to the bottom, I see the activities, or at least an overview of the activities as it relates to this lesson. Then I could go down even further and look at the activities. And so for this particular presentation and how this is going to work, once I go within the Scratch program, it's going to give me an introduction to the presentation. It's going to show me how to build my own presentation. It's going to give me a survey. And then, of course, there's a simple wrap up, and then I get to share my project. And that's the great thing about the Scratch program. You can share your projects once you are complete, and there are all sorts of projects being shared out there. If I click on examples, these are just ideas of what's already been done. And remember, these are students who've actually done these projects. And of course, you can click on it, and I'm assuming that it will take you to the actual Scratch program. I'm going to exit out of there because I don't want to get too happy with clicking on tabs, because with Zoom, I'm sure it'll slow us down for a second. So I just want to just kind of be here. And then materials. And as a teacher, when I click on materials, this all could be printed out. The Getting Started guide. And so this goes to my teachers in here who are new to computer science, you're new to coding, and you have no idea whatsoever what you're doing. It is absolutely okay. You are okay, because the great thing about this program right here, they give you the resources for you. So all you have to do is take the time to read and get more familiar with what you're doing. So the Getting Started guide could work for you. It already has a lesson plan that gives you the step-by-step instructions for what you would do as a teacher. And then here's just a few extras. If you wanted to have a poster to basically put up in your classroom, or for a remote world, if you wanted to just put it up on a screen on Zoom, put it on your website, for your teachers who have websites, you can give stickers to your students. In that case, I'm sure we got to figure out how we're going to do the digital stickers or digital badges when they complete it. Likewise with the certificates. If a student completes the task, you can offer them a certificate of completion. So now that we look at those 3, we're now going to start the program. And so if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and start your different program. And once I look at start, and for those that were here this morning, you notice that it's quite similar to Applied Digital Skills as far as the layout and what it looks like. And so the first thing you're going to see, of course, is the video. And so like I mentioned in the class earlier, that this is all video based. So students who have access to headsets, they can go ahead and plug their headset in. They can watch the video on their own time, or you can have it done aloud to a group. If you need more quiet time and you don't have the headset, you could recommend the transcript option. And of course, the transcript is reading word for word, verbatim, what's in the video. So you have those 2 options as you are doing the lesson right now. And then, like I mentioned, similar to Applied Skills, on the right-hand side, you have the option of how to get the information for you, and then you can begin joining. Check. All right, so one question, and this is a great question that I have that I see is, does the lesson save? Yes, it does. Now here is this the point that I have with this, and this is another. We have to reach out to Google CS to work on this. But when you're ready to begin your project, so I went ahead and clicked on next, and I'm sure some of you probably already clicked on next as well. And then of course on the right hand side, you clicked on start a project. One concern that I see, the way that it transfers the information from my Google CS account to my Scratch. So now what you're looking at is a totally different program. You're actually looking at now the Scratch. And I think we had a few in here that mentioned that they've used Scratch before. Hopefully the difference that you will see now, these are all programs that Google CS first has already, they already vetted, they already looked through them, and they made certain that these are aligned with certain standards. And I think we saw the CSTA standards out there, the ISTE standards. And so that's what the Google CS first is looking for. So they already found the particular Scratch lessons, and then they embedded them into their applied skills. I'm sorry, their computer science CS first. With that being said, and going back to the question that was asked, is this information automatically saved? If you look to the far right, you will notice that the student is not signed in. They can begin to start the work right now, just like you can start doing the work right now as I'm talking. Hopefully you are working within the program as I'm speaking, but you're not signed in. Now, the account that you just created and the account, and hopefully you jotted down the passcodes, and I'm going to pull that back up if I can. Let's go back to the class. And let's look at who's in there. There we go. These accounts right here are actually your Scratch account now. So twofold, once your students automatically signs into your classroom in the Google CS first, it automatically creates the account in Scratch. However, right now, and I'm sure they're gonna fix this. I know they can't let this just stay this way. But right now, if your student decided to work within this program right now, then yes, the work is not being saved because of course no one is signed in. And so if that's the case, and if you're just starting new, then yes, hopefully you're doing a project that you want the student to get done with during the time frame that you have. But if you know that you want this to be saved, and you know you want this to be a project that you want the students to consider to continue to work on, then you do have to have that extra step and have them sign in. So if you click on sign in over here, and where it asks for username and passcode, as a teacher, all you have to do is go back over and make sure that they have access to their username and passcode. And that will get you into the actual program. So if I slow down again to see if we're okay so far, does that make sense or where we are? And as I'm speaking, I know you all are probably working within the program. You're navigating to see how it works. I think most of us looking at that interactive presentation. I see a few of us looking at that. That's great. And so for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to be quiet and I'm just going to let you guys concentrate. Okay, like I mentioned before, I'm going to kind of slow you guys down. If you still want to continue to work within the project that you're doing right now here, and if you're okay, you can continue to do so. If you have any questions about what you're doing right now, that's fine as well. So I'm going to kind of bring us back in because I know we probably have a good 30 minutes or so left. And then, of course, we want to begin with that last time to begin to create within the actual course because that's hopefully what you're here for. You actually want to begin to create within the program itself as a teacher and have things ready for your own students for the summertime and the upcoming school year. So I shared my screen again and just sharing with you this particular slide right here because the significance of this slide besides it's explaining to you once again what CS First is, being a curriculum that's going to introduce your students to computer science. Hopefully that's what you gather so far with what you're looking at, that it is an introduction. Hopefully the material that you're looking at, I don't want to say easy because there are some challenging things out there. You may be looking at something challenging right now, especially if this is your first time. But hopefully you can see how it is helping you help navigate, engage into computer science. And this is just a small portion of computer science, by the way. Coding is not, well, computer science is not coding by itself. And I'm sure that the ones that are here in STEM, you understand that it is it's a different definition of computer science. Computer science has so much involved in computer science alone, but coding is just a smaller portion. I think this is just the introduction of getting students to understand computer science before we get into engineering and everything else. And so with that being said, the Google CS First program is meant primarily for those grade levels. You see them right there, grades 8. But of course, hopefully, if you are in high school, you will see some courses that you can do, even if you're in higher ed, that you see some projects that you can potentially get your students to do. Because I think anything involving creativity, no matter where it looks like on this side, I think it's meant for all students, all age ranges. They explain to you they have so many videos out there. But the main point I want to show with this video, this particular slide, is the actual picture. And I'm going to show a few of these to you, but this is just an example of a particular program being used and how Google CS First and Scratch was helping us with this. This is actually a picture of a workshop that I helped another person in Troy, Alabama do, and it involves computer science. And at this particular time right here, you're actually seeing the students participating in the Scratch. And two of the kids that are in there are my children, and they are trying their best to help instruct the other older students of how to use the program because they seen me prepare for it before the classes started. And so that's why I just thought that the significance of that. But with that being said, the age ranges in that group right there are students from anywhere between ages 4. I think my youngest son in this picture is 4 years old. My oldest son in here is at the time 7. He's 8 now. But then also we have middle school students in this picture, and then we actually have a high school freshman. And so they all were engaged into this in this particular program. But I just want to reference that. Just don't look at this as this may just be for the lower grade levels. I mean, I think you can find something for all grade levels. But this is just give you an example. The second example, before I get you all to look at the teacher side of CS First, is, of course, our middle school program that we have with the Girls Who Code. Girls Who Code, of course, is a pretty popular nonprofit organization. And I'm sure that most of you already are affiliated with some sort of coding program for the STEM teachers who are in here. But this is just an option that we decided to do. We realized that girls are not, from what they're saying in the real world, getting into computer science as much as the boys are. And so we wanted to highlight this for our girls right here. And so this is just a few pictures of what they're doing, and just to show in this image right here, they are actually using the Google CS program that moved them over into Scratch, and that's what you see them doing right now. So these are just ideas just to kind of paint that picture of what you can do. Now, even though those two options I showed you are more group related, this still can work in your classroom. And that goes back to the actual Google CS program that I am looking at work that's being done on the students level, if that makes sense. So that's where we are right now. Similar to applied digital skills, and I keep referencing that because we just had that workshop. As a teacher, I get to see the progress of my students and how far along they have gone and where they are as it relates to the progress of the work. And so I could just scroll through from this view right here and see where we are. And I know because we got a small group, everyone majority chose the interactive presentation. I can click on view progress details, and I am able to see how far along have we gone, the percentage of work that's been completed, how many steps have we gone through. So it's 4 steps in this particular workshop, and we have a lot of who done 2 out of 4, so that's pretty good. But you get to see this as a teacher for your whole group. And then of course, if I wanted to, I can actually look at the actual presentation. So like if I wanted to look at your Scratch work, I can go in and look at that work as well, just to see how far along you are. So now, what I would like for you all to do is let's shift over, of course, to the teacher side. And as you're shifting over to the teacher side, and this is different from applied skills, of course, because you are in the student account, you can't go back and forth from teacher to student. You actually have to log out and then go back through the process of logging back in. So you would actually have to go as if you're signing up from scratch. So sign in is what you would have to click on. Click on I'm a teacher. And then hopefully you all have access to your Google accounts or any email, and then you can just sign up that way. And so if you take the time to do that, we'll slow down for a second. Just give people time to just go ahead and sign in as a teacher. And as we're signing in as a teacher, I'm gonna once again just kind of ask people out there, and if you can respond back either chat or just unmute yourselves and speak. Is there any thoughts, any questions that you have right now about the program so far? And you could be as honest as possible. If it's, hey, I got a question about this. I'm still kind of leery about how this will be beneficial. I may not be able to answer every question, but at least we can get those questions out there. Yes. So Ms. Morris mentioned the concept of co-teachers, and I did not mention this earlier. I don't know how I forgot that, but with the applied digital skills and the Google CS, they both mirror, if you haven't noticed, Google Classroom. And they kind of are beginning to replicate the functionality of Google Classroom within this. And so with that being said, you do have the option of adding co-teachers. And so if I wanted to add another teacher in my class that we could work hand in hand, we could do so. And so we can go and speak to people. And then I think you have the option right here of how to add a co-teacher. And you just give them the teacher code, and then they'll be able to join your class as a co-teacher. Now, that's a great question, Elizabeth. As far as even, I guess she said even younger students, is there something out there for them? Like I mentioned with applied skills, and I still challenge our elementary teachers to use that. I still recommend that you look at different tools in here that you can use as well. But I would recommend as an elementary teacher to put yourself in the mindset of, instead of having my students individually do assignments, this may have to be more of a we work together. So even as a teacher, if and I'm thinking of remote situation or even in school, but if I am a teacher and I'm doing this type of content remotely, I would probably try to set up either screen recordings or do live videos. And we know how that could be quite troublesome if you have to do remote learning and you have to do a synchronously type way of teaching, that you show them what is happening. And so that's just my recommendation. So I would go into the scratch and I probably would just move things over myself. And then, of course, when I'm ready, I would show them the project and what it looks like. And then we could just have those different concepts of questions. Like, just give you an example. If I click on the, where is it? Not the events, but the, and this shares my knowledge of remembering where I am. But when I get into the sensing of action questions or whatnot, this is how I could probably engage my younger group of, if I had for instance, if I used a bear or I use a different, what we call sprites, which is basically just the icon or whatnot. What type of question would the bear ask the fish or something like that? That's how I would kind of keep them involved in it towards the lower grade levels. There are other resources that I would say that's out there. So once you're getting into the third grade on down, I think that would be beneficial for them. But also the reason why I was looking at this is because of the drag and drop features. I think, and if somebody here can correct me, the way some of these Scratch programs work, because I think they are also meant for the tablets. So you can do the drag and move over. And so it's helping with them moving different blocks over and getting an understanding of what's motion and how that works. So I would probably even take a Scratch lesson. And with that Scratch lesson, we will probably just help navigate the different codes. So 1 week, we would stay in motion as far as looks, backdrops, and we would tie it to sound the next day. So that's how we could kind of work with the elementary level. But I'm just going to look through some other questions or thoughts about the chats. Yes, I can see this as when you cross teacher, co-teacher rather. Now you're getting your career tech people involved, or just other teachers in general, especially with the bigger projects. So like if I'm looking at a 6 to 9 hour project, and I know that the lesson entails more than just my subject content. Now I can reach out to my other teacher, and then we can have that conversation. Is there a limit of number of co-teachers? Right now, I don't have that answer. I don't know. But I will say, if I'm not mistaken, I think Google Classroom has a limit of co-teachers. I think it's like 20. So you may kind of be in that ballpark if they're trying to follow suit with the same thing. Yes, and so that's why I mentioned I recommend the whole group that you can work on. And like I said, this is just an introduction to computer science and just coding, and see how far your students can go. The other side to this is, if I could find, I have so many tabs open, but how this will work with my parents and how it will work if we are removing technology. And so this also brings in those elementary students where you could download the packets that are out there and we could work that way. And that, of course, that still is more so into the realm of if you are in the school setting versus at home. but also you can somehow tell your parents if they decided to create their own CS First class to help you or be a co-teacher, that they can also download the package or they can have the package shipped to them. And so, and I know I'm saying that you're like, what do you keep talking about packets? So just gonna go back to the class. I'm gonna get out of the Scratch for a second. But before I get out of Scratch, I just want to mention that again, that remember, if you're trying to save your work, that you make sure that your students are signed in over here. Okay, and that's it with that. And then of course, most of your stuff that that you see here, if you don't have an understanding of what different blocks and how they work, then hopefully the actual lesson within Google CS First will help you with that. Okay, so I'm going to kind of close out of this so I can have a few more tabs open. And what I want to share with you is what I mentioned about the packets. And so in my lesson, any lesson, I would say that any lesson that is more than an hour, and I think this is more so for the lessons that are 7 hours plus, you could download packets to help navigate the student through the activity. And so for instance, once I click on this music and sound, and we're going to do this as a teacher also. So hopefully by now you all already have signed in as teachers. And so, and I'm just going to show this real quick, then I'm going to go back out, and then we're going to all go in together. But as a teacher that looks at the materials for a lesson that's more than 6 hours, you have more options. Like for instance, this right here gives you solution sheets. You have passports now. You didn't see that in the hour code, but now you have passports that you can download. You have a contingency plan. So you have a little more that you can download once you are looking at the bigger activities. As a teacher, and I'm going to show this with you in a second, once I first add this class to my classroom, it even asks if you want to download the package or do you want us to send them to you. So we're going to show that to you really quick because I know our time is starting to slowly dwindle down. Before we know it, 30 minutes will be done. Hopefully everybody's a teacher right now. You went ahead, you logged off, you logged back in, you used your account, and you're a teacher. And so we're going to click on just here, the CS First program. And why we are back at the beginning is because now that we understand how this program could work, I would just like for you to see it from the teacher's perspective. And so you get an explanation of what CS First is and what they're trying to do, the curriculum that's available. And by me scrolling down, you notice I see all curriculum right here, which means that I can click on this option right now, and I should be able to see all sorts of activities from my 1 hour activities, and it's just going to keep, progressing as we move forward. The multi-day, which of course is the multiple hours. When I click on curriculum as a teacher, if you should notice that this activities and badge tab just popped up. So if I go back to CS First, you notice that that tab is not there. It only comes when I click on curriculum. And then it's there now. And then once I click on activities and badges, the only reason why I want you to see this is because it kind of breaks down, one, on the left-hand side, the activities by certain content. So if I want to do storytelling, if I want to do something based on friends, fashion design, sports, characterization, the presentation that you did, you see that over here on the left. And you notice now it's more lessons that you see available. In the middle, you will see the same. So if I decide to click on friends, it moves to that particular activity. But what I like about this, of course, is as a teacher, it is showing me the actual activities that my students are going to do in that particular program. So from the survey to going into Scratch, getting an overview, to the videos of creating 5 things about us, the add-ons, and then the reflection, you get to see all this right now. And you get to see the different activities within that one particular lesson. And so just scrolling through so you can just get an idea of what you're looking at right now. And that's in that particular activities and badges. To the right, and I've already clicked on one, are the lessons. So this is what a lesson will look like. So I clicked on the lesson plan for art, that particular program. And this is what you should see as a teacher. So the overview, the art lesson at a glance, it has more hyperlinks out there for you. So you get to see the digital materials that you probably will use, the starter guide, and then of course the different themes that you have per activity. And so I think that that is essential for teachers, especially if you are new to computer science, if you're new to coding, and you have no material whatsoever, you're just going out there. I think that was the difference of maybe Code.org and the rest of them. I think they have resources as well, but to have a complete lesson now that I could use and I can print off or I can put in my Google Drive, because now I can do file and copy this particular lesson and put in my Google Drive. I could send it to my co-teacher, and so we could work together. We could take turns on the lesson of which avenue will you work on or focus on in this lesson. We can do that now because of these resources. This is the parents guide that I mentioned. So not only do you have access to look at material and resources, you can click on the parents guide and also share the resources with them. So for that connection that you want with your parents, since they will probably be at home as well, you can give this to them and send it to the parents. So these are just a few things that I would like to share with you that's within the Google CS application. All right, nothing in chat, so I think we're all good. I'm just slowing down a little bit. And a lot of that information I found in the resources. So when I click on resources, this is basically is what I just kind of showed you. You have different checklists. You have the video training, the teacher materials, which basically takes you back to where you download those packets. If you needed any additional help for workshops, that if this wasn't enough for you, I know sometimes an hour and a half may not even be enough. There are other workshops that are offered. You just have to make sure that they are local. So I know for those who are, I think we saw Florida and Texas or whatnot, that if you love more information on this, please go out there and find other workshops that are available to you. And so just scrolling through, of course, they give you the checklist. And so here are just some options that you have that you can send to your students to say, make sure that, you know, if you can have headphones, internet access. And I know as far as equity is concerned, that may be a few concerns right there, but as far as to help yourself get ready to create. Any questions before I move on or continue? All right, so I think that we're good. So now for the last 20 minutes, as we're closing, hopefully you guys can begin to actually create within your own classes. And so now as a teacher, if you click on my classes, and you probably don't see anything right now, you can click on, of course, create class. And if there are any lessons out there, you can begin to incorporate them into your classroom. The other part that I would like to show you now is, and kind of similar to what I did this morning, is what does this look like adding it into things that I am already doing? And of course, I'm coming from the elementary standpoint on this side. And so some of these tools may be appropriate for you, some of them may not. But we're going to get started with the first obvious tool, which is, of course, Google Classroom. And within this Google Classroom, this is a way that teachers are sending out resources basic as a learning management system to their students. You can use Classroom to set up your CS First as well. And so basically you see right here, I have just an example of telling the students how to sign in to Google CS First. So for instance, if we're just going to start using CS First, I know my students are accustomed to receiving information from me as a teacher in Google Classroom, then this is where I'm going to put that information to how to sign into Google CS First, how to put the code in, and then when you're ready, then you could just send a message or notification in Classroom to say, I got it, I'm ready. And then next, we could look at adding just different lessons from your CS First into your Google Classroom. So I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. So like I mentioned this morning and like I'm mentioning right now, look at CS First as just something to kind of plug in those particular holes that you may have as you are trying to deliver lessons and you're trying to become creative into the classroom. Seesaw is another popular tool that you could use to deliver content to your students. I don't know if anybody uses Seesaw in this class in this workshop, but if you use Seesaw, then you can also do the same. And so this is just an example that I have pulled up. I have my Seesaw account. I know that I have my students added to the Seesaw. And so once I find a lesson that we're going to work on here, then I can do the same. I can hyperlink that particular lesson or just put the instructions out there and add it here. I probably recommend that if you use Seesaw, of course, you'll probably use this time right here to actually record yourself. And the great thing about Seesaw, that whoever used this, you all know that you can record yourself on the phone. So with the Seesaw app, and this is just a recommendation, I will probably have myself recording myself speaking of how we're going to use the Google CS First platform, how to log in, and then I will send that video via Seesaw to my students and to my parents right here. So this is just an example that I'm showing you here. And besides using CS First, you can look at the different activities in Seesaw and see if you can find any other activities out there. So that Scratch remix right here, this was actually within the Seesaw platform. So there already are educators out there who are thinking ahead and realizing that some teachers may not be able to deliver the content through Google CS First, but we still like the program and how it works. And so this activity right here shows students how you can still get through and navigate into the program, if that makes sense. And so it's just a simple adding the particular lesson. We can click on here and then it can assign the activity that way. Flipgrid. I know some of you all are accustomed to Flipgrid and how it works now. And this particular content or student voice, if you already using this tool, this is another way that you could potentially use Flipgrid to either share the resources from CS First with your students, or you could use this as an exit ticket type deal. So after the student is working, or going back to elementary students, teachers rather, who are trying to find different ways, you could probably create within your own computer and how lessons are being handled in Scratch or computer science, CS First rather. And then you could ask the students after they watch the video or after they look at what we're doing, you can ask them in Flipgrid, how do you feel about this? Or what would you done different? Or the questions that you asked when you created it within the coding program, you could probably ask it to the students right here in Flipgrid. And then of course, also within Flipgrid, there are different topics as it relates to coding, because I don't believe in telling teachers to reinvent the wheel. And so if I'm going to find topics for me, of course, I will look in these options right here in Flipgrid. primarily the disco library. And within my disco library, this is where I can find different content. And of course, we're speaking of computer science. And so I'm just trying to give you another option besides Google CS first, but also how to show you. So you see code right there that just popped up. But of course, I would click on, as far as my audience, who I'm looking for, my subject, computer science, and then we will look at what's available for us. So those are just 3 options that how you can deliver content to your students with the computer science. So we know that we have Google CS First available as a tool to use. And we know that we want to probably use this tool. But then the question is, how can we deliver this content? And so that's what I want you to look at right now. And so I'm gonna look in the group again and ask, and hopefully somebody can share with us from what you're seeing right now. Do you see anything that would be useful to you in the classroom? Have you already begun as I'm speaking, because hopefully you've been working within the program. Have you already saw where you could add this, what you currently have? And then of course, also, if you just have any other questions or thoughts or concerns.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to keep playing with it
Okay.
and get more comfortable myself to better show my kids.
Good deal, good deal. And this is, once again, I think I say this to you every time I say you, Andrea, this is why professional learning and workshops like this are beneficial, and go to as many as you can. And when you are ready, just go ahead and just play within the program and get yourself ready.
Like I said, I teach at a STEM school, so my kids get the programming. I'm a content area teacher. My kids get the programming in their programming classes, but I can integrate this into next year. I'll have social studies and math, but I like the animate a painting, so you could have a painting of a famous person and they animate and talk about who they were.
Great, great.
Like that.
I like that. So yeah, so you can still use this and still get your lessons out there with your students. Yeah, so that's pretty good. All right, so since we don't have anybody else, I know this is a pretty smaller group. I know it's Friday. I'm sure some of you guys are hungry. You're probably thinking about what's for lunch, and we're gonna try to get you guys out of here. But before we do, I have one thing to ask of you, if you all could do this for me. And it is at the end of the presentation. It's just a survey, just a post survey. If you could take the time to do the survey for me, if you could. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this link and add it in the chats as well. This would be the last thing that I would ask of you all to do. And I'm just going to pull up the survey just so you can see it. So basically, it's just a few questions of as far as if you don't mind that they follow up with you on any CS First experience. Are you a Title I school system? And then of course, this is always the question that people ask me, as far as the organization that complete this workshop, if you all could choose the Ed Tech team. So that's the only thing that I would ask of you. So answer everything else the way that you would like, but just put the Ed Tech team. And then in closing, I know that a lot of us have already did the morning session already, so this is just a repeat. But because some people are new in here, I just want to go ahead and just share this out again. And this is all, once again, in the presentation. So if you want the link again, presentation link again, I can send this to you. But here are just some additional resources. And the resources that I'm sharing with you right now are just things that are, of course, these are Alabama-specific resources. So we have, but we invite anybody because it's all virtual now. And I think that we're all a part of this now. So there are a few virtual workshops that are being had in Alabama. Technology in Motion, Alabama Leaders in Education Technology. You see the dates that are available to you. Registration is free. We do have a GEG group, a GEG group for Alabama. If you want to follow us on Facebook or just join our Google forum to send out messages and email, whatnot. And then, of course, MGMWERX, which is the group that's hosting this event. And once again, I thank you, Joyce, for having me on again with the MGMWERX. They have a trivia night, which I think they said would be very fun, and you should enjoy that at the end of June. And if we don't have any other questions, we are done for today. I thank you guys for attending the workshop, and any other questions that you may have, if it's something that you just think of, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I think I have my information here. If I don't, I will make certain that I put that in here for you all to have access to my email, or you can follow me on Twitter, Eujon_Anderson. But thank you guys for having me, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.